So I'm going to record this and then I'm handing this over to you. So then if you can make yourself.
Okay, you
your
tell me
video.
when. And then it should show both of us, right?
Yeah.
Great. There we are. We did it.
So if anyone is joining and you are wondering, why are these
What the heck are they doing?
laughing? I'm just going to fill you in before I introduce Lisa. We had what we call like the blooper, the blunder, which is that we got on, and we love Zoom. Zoom, I love you. So
we do love Zoom. Yeah,
we all love you. We love you so much. Crazy Zoom. Thank you. But I could not get Lisa's video to show up. And I sat there, and I would say the beginning, early business me would have been like, the heart would have been fluttering, and I would have said, oh, what am I going to do? Oh my God, what am I going to do?
exactly.
And the evolved business person doesn't mean it's a good or bad thing. Just the evolved said, it's okay. Okay, I can problem solve this in 1 to 3 minutes. So I was like, okay, this isn't working. This isn't working. I will flip you over to then be, the host. And it just worked. So here we go. Magic.
Technological magic.
Spirit fingers. So, okay, I am so excited. Not only have I known Lisa for many years, I've been so blessed to have Lisa do my terms and conditions, my disclaimer. Also even blessed to just, be a part of Lisa's growth and just expansion of your business and your book and your legal templates and
crazy
everything that you've done. So,
I know we first talked to each other, Rachel, I think it was at least 4 years ago, at least, if not more. It's insane how much time flies and how much we grow as we go.
So, I mean, that even leads me to just say, like, let's just break this down, coaches. If you do not know Lisa Fraley, like, that's just number one boo-boo. Like, boo-boo number one, okay? Or just, and I'll say boo-boo because, as we step in, we've always been in a litigious world. But I think when we own a business, especially as a health coaches, and I talk about this all the time, and I just said this a few minutes ago, we become a health coach and we think, talk about health. We don't think that we're starting a business. Like, it's not the same as coming out and saying, I'm going into real estate, starting a business. We think health, and most of us are feelers and we're empaths. And so we don't think about the business part. We just think, I'm helping people. Mm-hmm. And so when we first talked, it was that I got really scared and I was woken up, whatever that word is, because I had moved from Philadelphia, which was a green state, and I had moved to where I live now, Florida, and my best friend at the time, where we had gone to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, she had gotten a cease and desist, and she had called me and was like, oh my God, Rachel, you won't ever believe it. And neither one of us knew. And I think that's the big talk that I want to have today on this awareness. This isn't a shame or blame. It isn't to think, oh, I did something wrong for my business or I'm doing something wrong. It's about awareness. And it was at that moment, and that was 3 years into my business. So I've been in business for 8. And at that moment, like, my heart just dropped. And she said, I didn't know this, and this. And these were things that I didn't know either. And that was the beginning of me making phone calls to my state, to the Department of Health. Yeah. I mean, to my family of lawyers. But if you don't know health, which is why you're so special and so unique for this industry, if you don't know health in this industry, it's kind of, like speaking Chinese. So, to somebody who doesn't know how to speak Chinese. Right. So I wanted to have this very open conversation for coaches who are, hearing all these words, cease and desist. hearing these words, how do I protect my business? Can I still coach if I'm in the United States and I hear this site, nutritionadvocacy.org, these words, yellow state, green, red. So without further ado, can you tell us, clearly I know your name and I just said it 4 times, but I'm not one for like formal and reading off the bio. Just tell us where everyone can find you and who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thank you, Rachel. First of all, it's just great to be here with you. So I'm Lisa Fraley. I call myself an attorney and legal coach, but like Rachel, I also went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and graduated back in 2012. I also am a life coach through Coach U, which I graduated back in 2003, if you can even believe it. And I also have a personal training certification from ACE. And part of the reason why I have this ampersand on my wall that I talk about all the time when I do videos and webinars is because when it comes to being a health coach or it comes to running our business, we bring all of who we are to the work that we do. And when it comes to the law, it really is protective of you and your work in what I like to say, a practical way to cover your buns and get your legal documents in place. And energetically, it also helps you to create stronger boundaries and energetic guidelines around your business. So I align legal steps and legal documents that you need with the 7 chakras of the body, the energy centers of the body, to make law more interesting and exciting and interesting, and just to help you have a context for what step to take in what order. So I like to make law easy to understand, not written in crazy legalese, simple, because it is complicated. And so what I love, Rachel, is that you've invited me to join you to try to break down some of these concepts to help health coaches know how to protect themselves. And of course, all my work can be found on my website at lisafraley.com.
I love that. I mean, and I think, everything that you also brought up, especially for coaches who are feelers, to match, the legal part. And, and what I've been saying so much is that you have to bring in that intuition. But the legal part also isn't something that you can just say, I'll do that later. Because that is something that has to be like, I make an LLC. I get my legal, you call them ducks in a row, my little duckies. I have my little duckies.
That's right.
Almost like I love apples, I love little duckies. So,
I love coaching, I love the law. Well, exactly. That's what I say anyway.
And it also, something that you talk about, and I've been watching your live streams and I, listen to a lot of what you put out there, is really creating these healthy boundaries. So before I get into even the questions, I want to start this off energetically even for coaches, because creating those healthy boundaries is creating those contracts. I was so scared in the beginning to be like, oh, here's this contract that defines, if you don't show up for this, I'm going to charge you, or, here's a term and disclaimer. But it creates a healthy space and it creates boundaries for self and for your practice. So it's really a beautiful service that you provide, and also protecting our business. So let's really, get into kind of the nitty gritty of what we're talk about.
So I'm so glad, first of all, that you mentioned boundaries, Rachel. In fact, my whole second chapter of my book, which is called Easy Legal Steps, is all about boundaries. And I think part of the reason why you brought that up to start with is because when we are coaches, we are givers. I mean, Rachel's a perfect example of someone who just gives and gives and gives and gives content and gives knowledge and gives information. Like, it's just our nature to give. We want to help. We want to help people change their lives. We want them to be healthy. We want them to, heal themselves from whatever illness or disease or condition they're dealing with. And we want to empower them. And so it can feel really hard, and it can feel like the law is going to be scary or cold or, just not something that you want to impose on your clients or your business. It doesn't feel aligned sometimes with the warmth and the love that you bring as a coach to serve your clients. So in my business, I talk a lot about legal love, like the idea that it can be you can still love up your clients, and you can still be there and serve them as a beautiful health coach and hold and support them in their progress. And you are also allowed to create those healthy boundaries Rachel's talking about, and to create legal documents and policies that I like to say hold and support your business.
Yeah.
So that, because you have a business, you're creating a business. Rachel's teaching you how to do that through a lot of her programs, her rockstar programs, because you are a rock star and you need to protect this income that you're creating so that you can have this long business that helps people over time.
And I mean, man, we could even get into so much, because I just want to say, and we're going to talk about message today and, all of that great stuff. But, this is even a conversation, guys, for anyone who's listening, whether you're on Facebook, you're seeing this on YouTube later, or this ties into your JV contracts. This ties into the legal documents to protect the content you create.
Exactly.
This ties into your trademarks.
Exactly.
This ties into the copyright of your images. This ties into protecting the baby that you built.
That's right.
And,
right.
Don't just think of this as, this feels so strange. Think of it actually as, and Lisa and I have talked about this, is owning your throat chakra. Really like owning those parts of yourself that say, it's okay to ask for this, because this is an equal exchange of energy.
That's right. Yes. And when you're working with your client, that you want your relationship to be an equal exchange of energy. And one of the ways that you can express that is actually using your client agreement that is very clear about, here's how I'm going to show up for you as your health coach, and here's how I want you to show up for me as the client, so that they can get the best results possible for themselves. But if no one's clear on what I'm supposed to do and what you're supposed to do, then that's where the ambiguity lies, and that's where the conflict and the confusion and the request for refunds and people not showing up for calls and having your time not be scheduled well, because there hasn't always been that clarity and what we call is a meeting of the minds together when you start your client relationship. So I actually like to say that clients' agreements are gifts to your client, that you're giving them in a really loving, kind way to say, hey, here's how we're going to work together. I want you to have all of my policies in one place, so that it's really easy for you to look in one place and find out what happens if you have to miss a call or cancel, or a payment's going to be late or whatever, so that it streamlines your communication and just creates ease and love and a beautiful start to your relationship, rather than conflict and discord later.
And even I think in addition to that, like the disclaimers that you have on your programs, the programs that are going out into the world, that checkbox that you have when somebody's checking out, no matter what your refund policy is. And for a lot of you, if it's not in a course where week 1 is just delivered, so that's easy when only week 1 and week 2 to give a refund for 30 days, or maybe 2 weeks. But if you're giving somebody an entire program and it's not delivered in a Thinkific or Kajabi way and everything's just at once, you really want to be smart about what feels right. So the good news is this, to wrap this up into a tight little, bow for everyone, is that, Lisa, and I will put this on the replay page, and I'll also put this, underneath the YouTube video and on Facebook, is that she has legal templates for everything. Because I can't tell you how many times I pitched to a gym, I pitched to a doctor's office, yoga studio, juice, and did collaborations and didn't have that. And then we shared information and it got sticky later.
That's
and
right.
Once I instilled that, there was no stickiness.
That's right.
So clean. It's like, you're doing this, I'm doing this. Here's the split. Right. Let's have fun. Let's party. Yeah. And then, you do it over and over. So
exactly. And that's your JV agreement that you use when you're doing a joint venture with someone. Or you mentioned, Rachel, when people are buying like your done for you programs, or they're offering programs that are delivered week 1, week 2, and they're dripped, the content's dripped, or the client receives information as you go through the course. You use the little checkbox and have them agree to your terms of use. That's the name that I give it, is called terms of use, so that they're really clear on the refund policy and they're really clear on how online commerce works. And almost most importantly, and you alluded to this earlier, Rachel, like how your work is protected, so that you have the language that falls back to say, hey, listen, this is really designed to help you learn, but you can't take this and put it into your own program, or you can't take and sell this to someone or give it to someone without my permission. And here's the language that actually says all of those things. You have to have it in writing as a business owner, because the way the law works is it's not presumed that you're the owner of the materials. You think it would be, but it's not. You have to say it.
And even I think for coaches, especially because memberships and Facebook groups, I mean, affiliates, I mean, guys, when I can just say all of that, and it doesn't mean that you have to have a heart attack. Let me just preface this. Don't have a heart attack and go,
one step at a time.
I have nothing. Oh my God. Oh my God. One step at a time. We're going to cover what is really, really uber necessary, important now. And we're going to cover some key things to protect you. But I just wanted to throw that stuff out there, because that was stuff I wasn't even thinking of. And I was in business, you know, so
I know. You were a very successful business.
Yeah. I mean, these were things that these were things that weren't needed in my business. You know, again, when you're in a lifestyle business, it's a very different thing than when you're in some other businesses. And so just remember, you know, what we talked about today, write that, make little notes, come back and review this, say, you know, this is phase 1 that I need to do, phase 2, phase 3, see what is, you know, your Hanukkah or Christmas present to yourself, or a birthday present. And, you know, just reach out to Lisa, you know, if you have any questions. And with that, we're going to get into the next thing. Which is honing in on some of these awesome questions that Lisa and I put together so that we can really help you guys get completely empowered. So when I first was coaching, I used words that I will never use. They are not curse words, which I am kind of known for. But I consider them curse words, actually, because they are words that put us in the line of fire. And even if I feel like you are in a green state, they're words like heal and cure. And I will say them on this because this is informational.
That's right.
A lot of people use them because they feel like they are putting the exclamation point. That's, I kind of feel like this will heal you. This will cure you. And, you know, these were things, again, that most coaches don't know, or they're saying them, you know. So I also was using words that I just didn't know that a coach can't say. And again, I want to preface this by saying that you might be sitting there thinking, it's crazy. How could a coach in one state be able to say something and not in another state? But remember, your laws are governed by state, and the state law overrides whatever your school. So again, this is no shame or blame. We're not talking schools. We're not talking a school is better.
No.
This overrides your school policy. No matter if your school is fighting on Washington on the front of the steps, we applaud any school that is doing that.
Totally.
But we have to abide by the state laws, and that is what will override at the end of the day. So we want to protect you, and that's why we're here today. So Lisa, can you talk about what is the best way to like hone in on your message and still convey what you want to say and protect yourself if you're in a red and orange state? And can you actually, and again, we're not getting into you saying what is right or wrong, because you're a lawyer and you're speaking from, you know, your experience as a health coach, as a lawyer. But you know, what would be kind of a healthy way of saying something if you're in a state that is not what I call the Wild West state?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So first of all, you lined that up perfectly, Rachel. First of all, we do want you to know this is just educational and informational. This is not specific legal advice for you based on wherever you are in the US or the world, because laws vary in each state, as Rachel mentioned, and also the laws change all the time. Like every legislative session, several times a year, the law could potentially change. So it's really the job of each health coach to know what you can and can't do in your own state. But there are some general things that everyone needs to follow, no matter where you are, and we'll start with that. Rachel alluded to this, but a couple of words that we want no one to use, okay, if you're a health coach, These words are reserved for people who are licensed medical practitioners, and in some cases also licensed or regulated clergy members, where you cannot use the words diagnose, treat, prevent, cure, or heal. Those are sort of the big five, okay? And you can't use those words. You also can't do those things, right? You're not in the business of diagnosing people. Their doctor diagnoses them. You're not in the process of treating people for their illness or disease. You're in the business of giving people tools and information and support to help them heal their own body, right? You don't heal people, they heal themselves. You don't diagnose, treat, prevent. Prevent's a hard one, right? We like to say if you eat your leafy greens, it will prevent heart disease or something like that. If you find a study that's been done that says that, then you can say that, citing the scientific research or study that says eating leafy greens has been shown to reduce the risk of getting XYZ illness. But you want to be very, very careful that you're not saying, if you take my program or if you work with me, this will prevent you from ever getting cancer.
Right.
Because obviously we have no idea that that could be the case. And so part of it is really empowering the client to take responsibility for their own health. And part of it is keeping you in a place of feeling protected and safe and not using words that are designed and only allowed to be used by medical practitioners and clergy members. So those are some big ones. If you are in red or orange states, there's some other words that you want to be careful about using too. And I know Rachel teaches about this as well, but one word that it's sort of a trigger word. It's not illegal to use the word, okay? But it's a trigger word that some states are very, they are watching to see if you're using a word like nutrition or you're calling yourself a nutrition coach, which we just don't recommend. I know that's hard if you've come from a school that part of the title that you're given is to be like a nutrition coach or a something nutrition coach. But in those states that are red and orange, it just puts you at a greater risk of that triggering someone to, or triggering the state to look into the work that you're doing. So it's not illegal to do that. Okay, I want to be very clear, but you just want to be careful about that. And I see Claire's asking a question and Rachel's typing the answer of where can we find out what color a particular state is. The resource that we recommend is called nutritionadvocacy.org. It's the Center for Nutrition Advocacy. This is one resource. There are also other resources out there, but this is one that a lot of health coaches use. They provide a map of the United States in the colors of red, orange, yellow, and green. Those in red and orange states are states that are more restrictive as to what you can and can't say unless you're a registered dietitian or a licensed medical practitioner. If you're in a yellow or green state, you have more freedom and more room to actually say and do different things. So we want all of you to feel empowered and know that you can be a health coach in every single state in this country. And you just have to be very aware of the things that you can and can't do in your state.
And just remember, guys, when, because I've been a coach in a red state and I get, I'm sure, Lisa gets tons of personal messages. The one thing that I made sure is I did a clean sweep on my website. Mm-hmm. I made sure that the word diet wasn't there, nutrition, meal planning. And when I did talk to the state, and again, I called like a nutcase. And I encourage you to do the same. Be a nutcase because you want to talk to somebody. And I just kept calling and saying, look, this is my business. There's nowhere that really says like what to do. Can I just talk to somebody? And when I really heartfelt said, I really need to, they were very clear, like health coaches cannot talk calories, carbs, fats, proteins. And so when you're sitting there saying things like, and this is the message, and so I'll just speak from mine, when we say things like, this will lower blood sugar, that's making a claim. So when you want to say things, I speak a lot in the I perspective. And you will even hear me on live streams. If you see even on my personal page, guys, I will say things like, when I went through ulcerative colitis, this is what I did. And this is what, and I will even, and you've heard me say, per the work of blah, 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 or when I worked with Amy Yasko or Dana Lake, or per the work of Mark Hyman, Frank Lipman, and I will quote people as I'm showing the Camu Camu or the probiotic. And I will even say, here is the disclaimer. You can go to my site at rachelafeldman.com. And if you go there, you will see, not only do I have the disclaimer, but at the bottom, I have a disclaimer right on the front of my site.
Yep. So Rachel, a couple things that you just said that we should point out is number one, you were talking about words like diet, nutrition, and calories, things like that. Those are words that can be trigger words in certain states. And then one of the things that I love that you said is that part of the reason why we are very careful about what you say is we don't want to make medical claims. You don't want to make a medical claim that if you do this, then this will be the result that you have. And if you work with me, then this will be the result that you have. You don't want to guarantee anything. You don't want to make medical claims. You are allowed to speak about your own experience. Your own experience. So Rachel was saying when I had ulcerative colitis, I did XYZ, or when I did this, this was helpful for me. But that's very different than saying, which you can't say, therefore it will be helpful for you. You can't go that far, but you can talk about your own experience. You can also cite scientific research. You can cite studies. You can cite other sources that have shown or done research that this could be. But magic words to use is that it could, or it may reduce, or it could reduce something from happening. So I love, Rachel, that you did the website clean sweep. You looked at your website, made sure they weren't making medical claims. There weren't any words that would raise red flags. You were very aware of the color of the state that you were in, and made sure that you called. I love that you called the state and actually asked to speak to someone because you wanted to get very, very clear about what you can and can't do. And that was brilliant.
And, I think this even leads into our next question, which is, how do you stay safe coaching anywhere in the world? Not just the US, but just anywhere.
Yeah. So I always talk about wanting to help you reduce your risk. Because when it comes to the law, there's nothing that can ever guarantee anyone safe with the law. Just like there's nothing that can guarantee if you walk out of your house that you walk across the street, nothing will happen to you. Like the idea is to then try to reduce your risk of having something happen. So there's several ways to do that. One is a couple of things we've talked about. Know what state you're in and what the laws are in your state. Don't use words that raise red flags. Don't make medical claims or use medical words. Do a website audit and make sure that it's working for you. Also, you can use legal documents and contracts. One of the reasons why this is important, whether you're doing one-on-one programs and using a client agreement, or whether you're using Rachel's programs or other programs that are group programs or online cleanses or online programs where people agree to your terms and check the box when they're purchasing, part of the reason why this is important is because in those documents you can state that the law of your state is what will apply. Now, this can be very beneficial to you, particularly if you're in a yellow or green state, because you're making it very clear that your business is based there. You want to register your business locally with your state, so it is on record of actually you doing work in that state. And then in your client agreement, you declare that if there's a conflict between you and your client, no matter where your client is in the world, that the laws of your state are the ones that will govern, is the way we say that legally. Your state or the laws are the one that you're going to follow. So that's one way. Another way of helping you to feel safe and be safe, because your contract spells out your terms of your program, and it also gets really clear about whose law applies if there's a conflict here. Is it my state law, your state law, whose applies? And you can be very clear that your state law applies, which is particularly helpful if you're in a yellow or green state.
I love that. And, one thing I just want to add to this for you guys, and something that I did, is this is when I really branched and built a huge referral network. And I did it not just locally in Florida, but I did it in my home, city, which I already knew, which was Philadelphia, New York, major cities where I had clients. And I reached out to the people I knew and said, can you connect me with acupuncturists, doctors, chiropractors? Because if you cannot work with that person, and you know that that person needs testing, know that person, and in this day and age, let me just say this loud and clear, the majority of people are not coming to you to add a superfood or a goji berry. People, let's just say it, which is why when I when mystery illnesses and the majority of people are coming with an autoimmune or a myriad of health issues. And I was like, okay, where are we? I immediately said, okay, this is why I have to collaborate with doctors. This is why, and that's also where complete ego is put to the side, and money will not get lost. This is a mindset shift that must occur also.
Important.
Where you have to say, and that's why people would say, why don't you have a 6-month contract, or why don't you do that? Because I had to make the decision to say, you know what? This person needs to get testing. This person needs to work with this acupuncturist. I can't go there with this person, or I can support this person, but I would definitely get this person to come back if I do the right thing for their health. And so I really encourage you to do that, because I have worked with families. I have had people come back years. I've worked with, I have put together teams for people and worked with, surgeons to their doctors, to their herbalists, to their homeopath. That is really when people get better. Some people can't afford that. But then you find group acupuncture. There is and I get chills when I said there's so many ways to get people healthy. We can't always be the end, even if you do have every degree. And I know that from my own journey, so I really encourage you also in our community, in our free group, but even in the community of all of you guys, some of you, and most of you, buy done a few programs for me. Your doctors, your acupuncturists, your chiropractors, your functional medicine practitioners with multiple certifications, partner with each other and support each other, especially, so that you can help each other in those areas and you're not working outside of your scope. That's the way that you can work in this world and really help each other.
Yes, and thank you for saying that, Rachel, because I think if you are in a red or an orange state, it can feel really frustrating because you're much more limited in that I do recommend that you not work with one-on-one clients and that you do more group programs and online courses, because one-on-one is not
and workshops and master classes.
Yeah, exactly. There's all kinds of things you can do, and Rachel can teach you all of that. But one-on-one work is really risky and tricky in those red and orange states. But you have so many other options of things that you can do. And like Rachel said, if a client comes to you, you can refer them to other people. They still will love you and work with you, and you can also help them get support from you in programs and things that you can do in your state, like group programs and online courses and master classes, group work, not one-on-one individualized nutrition advice, but group education, information, courses, programs, informational products, books. Like there's a million things that you can offer to them to actually help them and change their life and change their own health status without you putting yourself at risk.
I love that. And, that brings even to the next question of how do you build visibility online without putting yourself in a place where you feel like you have to be saying these things. And I think we even touched on that, which is really to speak in the I, really. Yes. And I think a perfect example is, you're doing a podcast. So it's like coaches
coming
start a podcast coming and, but coaches could either find a podcast, and there's tons of, podcasts, or what are some other ways that you feel coaches can
be visible,
put themselves out there, be visible without making, what I'm saying,
without putting themselves at risk. So first of all, Rachel, you're such a model of this, because Rachel, as you all know, do Facebook Lives like every other minute, which is amazing and inspiring for me. It's not my natural place of comfort, but I think that's fantastic, because when you are educating people, like in this webinar, you could do videos, you can do Facebook Lives, you can do blog posts, you can do guest articles, you can do guest blog posts for other people, you can do podcasts, do media. Yes, you can be on TV. You can write books. You can write e-books or mini books. You can do webinar courses and downloadable courses and audio courses. And like, there's a huge list of things you can do. Master classes, like Rachel said, because the idea is that you're educating people and teaching them. And I like to say, it's almost like people will say, well, give me an example. Like if you think of Dr. Oz is on TV, and whether or not as a health coach you care for the things that he's saying or you don't, that's a whole different issue. But when people say, well, how can Dr. Oz get on TV and tell people that they should take probiotics or something? What's happening is that he doesn't have information about his audience. He's sharing a health tip or sharing health information for the entire audience without knowing anything about their health status, which is allowed. That's like education, that's information. And by the way, if he's sharing something like, oh, if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, you might want to consider taking vitamin D supplements, he should also add in the same breath, but be sure to talk with your doctor before you do so to make sure you're taking the right amount for your own particular body and your own particular situation. So you can give disclaimers as you're talking while you're doing education, but anything that you can say to a wide group of people without knowing anything about them, those are the contexts in which it is very safe for you to practice and use those formats in all states at the moment, because you're educating and giving information.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I mean, I think anytime, and that's why I always go back to, if you educate, nobody wants you to just say, drink only this one aloe. They want to be educated. People, and I love what you said in the beginning, health coach is just a guide. You know, we want to guide somebody. One of my favorite teachers who truly changed my life was Dr. Morse, because he would say, you know, we're just the person to take that person on the journey.
Yes.
It's them who has their awakening.
That's right.
And I think when we really let go of dogmatic, that's why I love Steve Jobs when he gave that whole speech, when we let go and say, we're just here to educate and then to help someone tap into their intuition.
That's it.
It's not the this or the that.
That's it.
To say, here's all this valuable information. What really felt right with what I said.
That's right.
And if you forgot the intuition that was stolen or robbed from you, or you let it go, okay, let's work on that. And then tell me which feels really good.
Well, and I love that, Rachel, too, because so many people come to me and say, but Lisa, I feel responsible for their results. Like, I'm a new coach. I want them to do well. I want them to get a great testimonial. I obviously want them to heal themselves in their life, but like, I feel pressure to have them do well in this program. And here's the thing though, just like you just said beautifully, you're not responsible for their results, first of all. Okay. You all know how it is when you learn something now, and you may not apply it or use it in your own life for 2 years, but you think back, oh, I remember that seminar Rachel did. I remember that webinar a while ago. Now I'm going to use that information. Our clients are the same way, right? Your clients are the same way. So you can't always expect instantaneous results in the course of them doing your program or your course or your cleanse or whatever. What is important is that you're giving them tools, okay? This goes back to, you're not healing them. You're giving them tools for their own self-discernment, their own self-judgment, their own decision whether or not to use them and how to use them. But you're the guide to provide emotional support, and you give them tools for them to engage in their own healing. That's really the definition of a coach and a health coach. It's not our job or our responsibility to heal them. And so you want to make sure that your legal documents also say that you're not making any guarantees, that you are disclaiming your liability to a degree, because you want to empower them to take control of their own health and their own situation.
You know, and I will say this even before we get on to the next question. I think, you know, that's part of just the beginning of coaching. And I know this is a legal talk, but you know, in the beginning of coaching, I was so scared that people weren't going to have a result. I was so freaked out that I didn't know enough. And I was questioning. And I talked to probably 5 coaches a day who say the same thing.
Of course.
I don't know if I know enough. I'm like, have you lived your life? Did you go through your health journey? And they're like, yeah, still I'm like, you know enough. You know. Right, that's it. Stop looking here. And it doesn't mean we don't get educated when it calls. When we feel that but you know, I think that to stay safe, no matter what, stay in the education. And I will say that also, we are moving into a different era. It's not it's not a fear factor like coaching's dead. It's to say people want to be educated.
They do.
There's a world of so much information. So if you really stay in the role of, this is what works for me, because I will tell you, the probiotic that worked for me last month does not work for me this month.
Interesting.
So stay in that. Stay in what works for you, because people don't buy the fancy program or the fancy website. People buy the journey that you're taking them on that work for you.
And the support.
And if you continue to stay in that, and don't need to hold on to the X, get X in X amount.
That's right.
Marketing is marketing. There's a balance, but people are over marketed right now and they're tired.
Yeah.
That's why it's going to be so different. And what Lisa's saying is not only going to give you peace of mind and give you the tools and let you rest at night knowing that your business is safe, and you have taken 3 hours or more to go through your site, which leads to the next question is, do you suggest going through blog posts, like not having to freak out, tonight, but blog posts and YouTube videos and possibly anything that had been put out there that is really visible, and, taking out words and doing a search on your site?
Yeah. So again, law is always about risk, and the job of lawyers, same with insurance, is actually to help you reduce your risk. Okay. So like nothing can ever be guaranteed to be 100% safe, but we talk about wanting to help you reduce your risk. So, and everyone has a different level of risk tolerance too. This is important to note. Some people are very risk adverse, really risk adverse, and some people are willing to take more risks. Okay. Now, obviously, as health coaches and online entrepreneurs, there is a level of risk that we're already taking and a level of comfort with not just following the party line, or we would all be working in a traditional workplace environment for the rest of our lives and staying within the box, rather than stepping into this newish field of health coaching where we're helping people move in tandem with the medical establishment and receive additional support to help them in their journey. So part of it is your level of risk, what your comfort level of risk is. You can decide that for yourself. But to Rachel's point, if you want to reduce your risk, then one of the things you can do is actually go through your website, go through your blog posts, do that Google search on yourself, use some of those key words to stay away from, like we talked about, like diet, nutrition, and carbs and things like that, and change and edit those into words that are keeping you in a space of not putting yourself as much risk, and also that feel more comfortable to you. So I know that's hard. That might feel hard or feel frustrating or feel disconcerting or just.
But it is what it is. I mean,
but it is what it is. Exactly.
Right. And we say this because
to keep you in a safer space.
Even if it's your programs, and I say this because trust me, guys, I had to kill 45 YouTube videos. Do you know how much time that is? That's time, that's energy. Yeah. But I did it because I wanted to keep my business safe. So even if that means your sales pages or programs, just take the time. It doesn't mean everything needs to be done overnight.
That's right.
I want to get to this question, and then I'm actually, I'm going to let Lisa go for her day and stuff like that. But someone's asking, is it recommended to do group programs? It would be good if I could speak. And then offer the clients an opportunity to work with you one-on-one if you stay away from nutrition coaching, one-on-one sessions. You're still not allowed to work one-on-one with clients in a red state.
Okay. Everyone take a deep breath. Okay. Big breath. This is a big question. So I highly recommend in red and orange states that you do group programs or cleanses or all the things we talked about earlier that you can do. Doing one-on-one work, it's not illegal per se. Okay. It's not illegal, but here's the thing. When you're a health coach and you're engaging in one-on-one work with people in your red state, the problem is that it's very difficult to prove that you're not giving one-on-one nutrition advice or personalized or customized or individualized nutrition advice in those calls. Because first of all, as a health coach, I know you, I know who you are, and it's really hard for you not to share information with people when you have it, right? It's really hard not to give customized advice because you might have gone to a school that taught you about bioindividuality, or you might just believe every person's body and biochemistry is different. And it's very much in a part of your philosophy to want to give individualized advice. So first of all, I've just seen from practice, it's very difficult for health coaches to restrain themselves. And I say this with pure love and with a big hug around you. I get it. I am a health coach too. And the other thing is, it's very difficult for you to prove that you're not giving one-on-one advice. Even if you record your calls and you're investigated by the state, you say, here you go, listen to all my calls. They can say, no, I don't want to listen to all your calls. So you don't have a way to prove that you're not doing it. And when it comes to the law, it always comes down to proof. Always comes down to what you can prove. Okay. So the safer and the less risky option for you is to not do one-on-one coaching in those states and to do these other forms of education information that are life-changing for people and important for people to reduce your risk.
And remember, guys, and I say this because some of you, just like me, I was nervous to do groups. I know that's shocking. And I know you think I'm an extrovert, but I'm not. I just seen that I worked really hard to work on videos and work on getting comfortable. But group programs do not have to be done online. Some of my most transformational and beautiful programs were done in collaboration with a gym. Yeah. They were done face-to-face in small groups. That could be 5 people. Mm-hmm. I did them at an acupuncturist studio. I did it at a gym. Mm-hmm. And when anyone would say, how many calories? I would say, that's an awesome question. There is your fitness guy right there. Or they would say, seriously, I would say, oh, great Crescent. There's an app on your phone
for that.
My Fitness Pal.
Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful. You can point them to resources.
Right. You don't have to go into shock and say, and you also, and I really firmly believe this, which is what I said to everyone. I would say, that's a great question. I don't believe in, knowing how much protein you need because I know fruitarians. Mm-hmm. I know primal, keto, vegan, vegetarian, and they all say something different. Totally. So I would suggest you going to your doctor, and if you need to know about your sugars, go talk to your doctor because that needs to be something. I don't know, like what your sugars are. And I would say these are the tests I needed to run. An A1C. I would roll out the things I needed to do. Mm-hmm. So you don't always have to go into shock and be like, I can't talk to you about that because I've talked to coaches who have said I've lost strategy sessions. You don't have to lose a strategy session. You just have to say, this is why I'm different. I don't operate this way. And I believe that if we let go of this way of thinking, we'd probably have less health issues out there. Because if that way of thinking worked, we wouldn't have any problems. Yeah. So just shift, I want to say this and we can close and I'll let, Lisa give a real clear takeaway. What I had to do when I was coaching is I had to shift my mindset because I did go through a fearful time. So I'm not discrediting for any of you guys who are listening to this that the fear isn't real when you find this out, because it is.
Of course.
Taking away any of your angst or even some of you like a little anger or a little resentment or any of the emotions that come up. Feel them, own them, talk about them, share with each other, share anywhere. But what I will tell you is that there's a shift in mindset that can happen that really can be extremely transformational for you. And you will attract a different client, and you won't attract the client that's like, give me the meal plan. Just give me the plan. Give me the plan. Because we know Purging and Roth, it's not just about the food on your plate. If it was, then someone would just buy a book, download the 80 plans that you can get free off of Dr. Oz, which he has them, or Alejandro Younger, which I adore. And everyone would be fine, but that's not the world we live in.
Exactly. We all know it's about secondary food as much as primary food. And Rachel, that was so beautifully said and one of the things I want to do is to really encourage you. And Rachel didn't ask me to do this, just so you guys know, okay? But there's a reason why she's developed all of these beautiful done for you programs. And there's lots of them out there. But the reason for that is because she knows this area and she has developed programs for you to use safely in everywhere where you live. And to do it in a way where you can show up as fully who you are in the love and the care that you have for your client, but doing it in a way that's that is reducing your risk. And that's a beautiful thing. So when Rachel talks about making that mindset shift and thinking about all the things that you can do as a health coach, right? You are allowed to be a health coach in every state. There's nothing right now in this country that says you cannot, and we hope it will continue to be that way and it will get better for all of us. But there are lots and lots and lots of ways you can serve clients and make money and have a very sustainable business and contribute to the healing on the planet, and to really align with other medical practitioners, holistic and traditional, to help people change their lives, which is your mission. That's why you're here. That's why you're doing the work that you love. So please, please, please take all of this information. I guess my one point I leave you with is that taking all of this information, go back and do a website audit, go back and look at your Facebook Lives or your YouTube videos or your blog posts. Like, really sit down and think about the types of programs and services you can offer if you're in those red and orange states that are designed for groups or online. Or maybe this will prompt you to create that video course that you've been thinking of and that you just haven't felt ready to create yet.
Or a cooking class, or all those other
anything
fun stuff.
Exactly. Most of us start doing things before we're ready anyway. Myself included, but please look at this as a way to give you information and empower you to still have the beautiful business that you want in ways that just reduce your risk. And the laws will continue to grow and change and evolve, and we all can play a part in that. But for now, this is, as Rachel said, this is just how it is right now, and we just want you to feel empowered and know what you can do as much as possible. So. With that.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. I know this was the middle of the day, so I am so excited for the replay to go out for those who are working. And so many people are like, oh, I'm missing it. But the good news is this is not hidden. I will not be selling this. This will be for everyone, everywhere. So I just want to thank Lisa Fraley for being here. I will also be posting her templates on the replay page. They are phenomenal. And if you have any questions, concerns, even need to express yourself, like, please do. And don't look at this as my business has to end. Look at this as empowerment on different ways to run your business and to be excited about it. So thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And please, please continue to do this beautiful work in the world. So much legal love to you all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.